do a quick.
Me?
Check, check. Just checking the mic. Hi, everybody. We'll be Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the semi-final for the Lead National Championships 2024. We are here at Canyon Escalade in Montreal. Pete Woods here with Sabrina Théoret. Bonjour Sabrina, merci d'être ici avec moi ce soir. Comment ça va?
Ça va super bien. Merci de m'avoir. Je suis contente de faire ça.
And we're essentially going to jump right into the action. We'll catch you up as we go. Semifinals for lead. There's 26 athletes, so we've got a bit of time to get through it. We had one extra. We had a U.S. foreign national, which gave us 27 on the women's side. So we are going to start with one climber all by herself. Alexandra Smith from Ontario is going to be our first climber out of the gate. They go in reverse order. So how they qualified from this morning on their two qualifying routes, they're going to go from 26th all the way up to first. So we should expect to see progression as more and more climbers come out.
Yep.
We get a good look at the start.
Yeah, being the first climber out is always a little stressful, but then you can also put pressure on the other climbers by doing really well.
Exactly. You want to, you want to warm the crowd up a little bit.
Yep.
You want to get the climbers in isolation. They go, what's taking her so long? The longer you are out, the higher you are getting on the route. It's not a timed event. It's points per hold from the bottom to the top, and they only have 6 minutes to climb the route. So it's not about who gets to the top the fastest, but if you don't get to the top in the time frame allotted, then you get pulled off, and the last hold that you are in control of is your points. So the routes are graded, the number of points per hold. The women's route has 37 holds on it,
yep.
and the men's route has 28. So that's the maximum number of points. And ooh, just a little lack of tension perhaps, and a slip, and that's how it's going to go for the semifinal round.
Yeah, yeah, and usually the start of lead routes are technical and a little risky, so you really need to stay calm, and when you're stressed out, you sometimes tense up a little too much, and either put too much tension in your arms instead of pressure on your feet, and little slips can happen like that.
Yeah, and the modern style of route setting now, they're putting volumes up on routes. So instead of always being able to dig in, maybe a crimp here or at least the edge of a sloper, now we have volume climbing, and the angles are just, they're less than optimal everywhere to create uncomfortable positions, to try and get you up in your arms. And then the pump factor is real. So you can only hang on for so long before you realize that that's it. Like, I've got nothing in my forearms. It's lactic acid from here on out. But even then, you can still hang on for a little while.
Yeah, for sure. And we can see in the routes that Alexandra, she had to jump for the first move. And that can get your heart rate up really fast.
Unnecessarily,
exactly.
Right at the start of the climb. And you don't have to start in a controlled position that you do for bouldering, where you have to have 4 limbs on 4 pieces of tape. So here they get to say, well, whatever you can reach, as long as you don't use, holds that aren't allowed.
Yep.
You can't just jump off the ground if there's a hold, for your hands, but you can sort of reach past, and you get to do what you want at the start. But yeah, the little hop, and then the start of the men's route is always also a little bit spicy.
Yeah, it looks tricky.
It's going to get your heart rate up when you want your heart rate down.
Exactly.
And now we've got...
It's Imali Pilote Jeté.
And Brandon Barraclaw. Brandon immediately up off the ground. No time wasted.
I think Imali Pilote Jeté is one of the youth climbers. They're all pretty young.
I know, it's similar to Boulder, where it seems like the field is very, very young, but in fact, that's just the field these days.
Yeah,
the climbers are in their late teens to early 20s.
I was talking to Oscar Lanzagorta Sanchez earlier, and he's this head setter for the comp. He told me this right-hand crimp that Brandon's on the little volume is really close to the wall, so you don't have as much space as you would want on that crimp.
So it's worse than you want it to be.
Exactly.
Sort of just carefully clipping is part of lead. That's part of the deal. You have to find solid, strong clipping positions in order to get up the route. You can't climb past positions, but the route setters take that into account as well.
Yeah.
Where you have to create positions, and sometimes they're very uncomfortable, especially if you clip a little bit too early or a little bit too late.
Yeah, and these moves here look really tension, like a lot of tension in your arms.
Oh, Brandon really fighting well here. And can he find position to make this clip? Imali trucking along behind him. Oh, he does get it clipped.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable positions. And now, yes, just unlucky and a little bit out of gas, really, is what starts to happen.
Yeah, and like you said, clipping can be tricky, and it's stressful when you're not sure if you have the juice to clip.
Yeah, and it looks like maybe Imali is in a position here where she doesn't quite, she doesn't have the gas. She's looking for that position.
Nice.
It is stressful.
Yeah, you don't want to fall while clipping or too high above a clip because it can get a little dangerous.
And that is also the thing that starts to come to pass, is that you have burned so much energy trying to get that clip put together that maybe you only have one more move left in you.
Yeah.
And that's how it goes. They do come out together. So just to give you an idea of how the flow of the event is going to go, they always come out together, but we don't start, as you saw that Brandon fell sooner. The next male climber won't come out until the female climber has also fallen off. So you get your time alone. They'll never overtake each other. So they'll always come out in matched pairs. So you can expect them to start at around the same time. And then you climb till you fall, and then if you're having a good day, maybe you stand and watch your co-climber on their route. If you're having a bad day, maybe you just put your head down and head straight back to the other side of the room.
Yeah, and on the opposite side of like bouldering, if they both like fall pretty low, then the other climber needs to get ready a little faster than they would think. That can play in the headspace a little bit.
And here, yeah, you don't really know. You can sort of tell by the crowd, and you sort of know as well. And I mean, you competed for a very long time. The crowd starts to react to your progress.
For sure.
So you're like, oh, I don't know if anyone's grabbed this hold before, because the crowd's super excited. And sometimes it's lower than you think. Sometimes it's higher than you think. Like, what is happening? Why is no one cheering for me?
Yeah.
I'm way past the middle of this route right now.
Yeah, for sure. That happened to me in the bouldering semis. I was the first one to get a top, and I got that from the crowd. And I was like, okay, I think you can't really hear not a lot of cheers, like the big top cheer. So when I got the top, I was like, okay.
Okay, yeah, that's me. Right, and it feels good, right? Well. It's a boost, all right? It's part of the mental game.
Yeah, for sure.
So we have Joshua Heckroot on your right, and Paige Gulka from Ontario over on your left. Paige, a little overly wound up for the start of that perhaps, but it's better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah, well, we were talking earlier about how lead is different than bouldering. It's only one try, so it's definitely a lot more stressful. It's a lot in the mental game. You have to stay calm the whole time.
Yes, and it sort of seems maybe a bit obvious, especially for lots of people who climb lead, but when you're in the gym and you're working routes and you fall, you hang on the rope and you get back on, you try again, and you sort of have that mindset. But when you are, climbing in this format in flash climbing, where it is, if you fall, you're out, then the stress is real, and you can overcomplicate movement that is really quite simple because you're figuring it out on the fly. So onside climbing, flash climbing, very, very difficult.
Yeah. They did have a little time to preview, so we might see some people do stuff that is similar because they previewed with other climbers. So some people might have the same idea, then some others might have completely other beta.
Yeah, definitely something to watch for is multiple people doing something odd. It's that maybe something they've talked about along the way. Like, I'm going to cross to this crimp here.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can get taken into bad situations.
All right, let's see this move.
Yeah, so he looks a lot more comfortable here than Brandon did at this, as I say that. Yes.
Nice.
So route setters, I mean, putting a dyno in the middle of lead route is something that's on trend right now.
Yeah.
As Paige looks to be fighting a little bit over on the left side of your screen.
The thing about dynos in routes like this, the hold is a pretty positive hold, but it's not good enough so that you can hold it if you're completely far away. So you really have to commit fully.
Yeah, and that's the balance and the beauty of, I mean, route setting is the core of everything that happens in climbing competitions, and the fine line between if it's a jug, if it's a bucket, then you can recover from the overswinging or underswinging or a bad angle. You have sort of room for error. But if it's not good enough, then everybody's just going to careen off of it. So finding that sweet spot where, and the climbers know that. They're like, it's not going to be a bucket.
Yeah.
Right? There's no chance they give us a bucket on the semifinal route because this route has to be arguably harder than the final because you have to get the field down. You have to cut it down so much. And the top half of this field, they're all very, very good.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's always the semifinals is always the hardest round You have to cut from a really big group to a really small group. So the route is for sure going to be really hard, but we are hoping to see at least one top for each gender.
Yeah, I would think so. I would think so. You see them kind of coming out from isolation, so they're in an isolation zone, so they can't see, they can hear what's going on, but they can't see what's going on. And then they're out, they're prepared, so that we have sort of one climber at a time. They're back there, you're already tied in. When you're competing, and it's just about your turn, what's going through your mind? So what, are you trying to be centered? Are you trying to be calm? Are you trying to put things out of your head? Are you trying to refocus? What does that feel like when you're just about to embark?
I think it's probably different for different climbers. For me, I for sure need to stay calm and stay in the moment. It's easy to think about the result you want or think too much ahead, but you really need to just go one move at a time. I know a lot of climbers are probably going to think about this first move.
As soon as, because they've seen it and you've been back there thinking about it.
Exactly. And maybe sometimes you can even think about it too much. You're really nervous about it, but it's usually not the hardest move.
Right. It's just, maybe it's designed to get you feeling nervous.
Exactly.
It's designed to get you a little bit shaky. Sometimes you see footless, like smeary type of moves that make you really question your life's choices to that point.
Yeah.
Leo Santaprete here on your right, I would have expected him to qualify higher. So it'll be interesting to see where his progress is and how that benchmark comes through. And I would have thought Mia Laprise as well would have been a little bit further down, a little higher up in the field. So it'll be interesting to see where she gets through. Because sometimes people qualify a bit low, and then they seem to outclimb their semifinal position, but really they're just getting back into alignment.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to know also how hard you want to try in qualifiers, because sometimes you kind of know that you'll qualify for semifinals, and you know that semifinals will be the real fight. So if you're trying really hard, but you're already pretty high up on the route, you can maybe okay, I think I've done enough.
I think I've done it. Exactly. Yeah, you have that moment of I'm just happy to be here, and I think I've really done the work.
Yeah.
But both climbers moving quite quickly up through here. So this is, Mia, smoother than everyone to this point for this big reach through.
She looks really relaxed.
Yeah,
really
she does.
Confident.
Just, you can tell that every time they kind of sink back down through their hips casually, these are the things we're looking for to see if they look stressed or not look stressed.
Yeah.
And Leo's maybe just a bit trying to find a position that isn't there. The right foot that he's on is really quite bad, and he's thinking he wants to clip early. Oh, and he did take that fall.
Yeah. So Oscar was telling me they did a little tweak right before, I think. He put the little purple volume a little flatter and a little more to the right. So he wanted to make sure nobody could drive the foot and not do the dyno.
You see this little sneaky drop knee in here from Mia.
Nice.
There's options for feet plus the smearing. Often you can lure climbers into corners by giving them footholds when they really could also be smearing, but it's uncomfortable to smear in these situations.
Yeah.
And this part of the wall starts to get steeper. We're probably 30 degrees now, and then getting, as these red volumes, just a few too many reaches.
Yeah, she did down climb a little bit, and that puts she did a little bit more moves than she needed.
And you sort of see when people are either unsure, because you have to measure the moves out. You're pretty good when you preview from the ground. You have an idea of how far the moves are and how much power you're going to have to put into something, but you're not completely sure how well you can trust those feet. And you're not completely sure how good the hold you're leaving is.
Yeah.
So when you get there, sometimes you see people they pull that kind of, we call it a bit of a double clutch. They kind of pull up to see if everything's going to stay where it belongs. But if you do that one too many times, now you're doing movements you don't need to be doing.
Exactly.
And you're adding stress because you're unsure. You're like, maybe I can't reach. Like even so on the semifinals and the finals in the bouldering yesterday, there were a few big dynamic moves, and you see some of the athletes taking more swings than you normally would because you're like, I really got to get all of my momentum here.
Yeah.
All right, so Sasha Duchesne and Simon Chadwick are out here. You can keep track. We have live scoring. I say live, almost live. almost live scoring. So cec.results.info is going to put you about a climber behind probably, and it'll tell you the number, and that's the hold that they reached. So, we have every single hold on the route has a point value, and that will be their score. You will see pluses, and the plus is part of the intricacies of scoring lead climbing, and that we have to find a way to break sort of half ties. And if you grab a hold, you get the points for it. But if you leave the hold in the direction that the route intends you to go, so you're moving upwards towards the next grabbable hold, then you would get a plus on that. So you'll see that on the score, and then the move we just saw Mia fall on, she would get a plus for the hold she left because she made positive movement in an upward direction. So you will keep an eye out for that when you're watching the scoring.
Yeah, for that reason, you'll see a couple athletes kind of throw their hand in the air, kind of high-fiving the air to really make sure they got that plus. It is important to get if you can.
Oh, yeah, very much. So, I mean, some people will make the final based on a plus.
Yep.
Yeah, you never want to fall off just sort of sagging into your harness. And it's good for your mental game to come back tomorrow to train again. At least you put every last ounce of effort into it.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
like taking the clock down on the last boulder of the round. You're like, you just run it out, even if you feel like you want to quit.
Yeah, for sure. This little part in the men's route seems like there's a couple betas possible. This looks...
Yeah, that looks harder than what we've seen.
Made it work.
They did make it work. And you try to climb into your strengths, so maybe you're feeling good, like I'm right-hand strong, I'll make the left-hand reach. So you will see different sequences and different beta for that reason.
Oh, no.
Unfortunate. Simon Chadwick just running out of pull where you need it the most. Sasha, good stick there. So she is now, that's our high point here. 1 hold, 2 holds now further than Mia was. And then the crimps are small here, Sab.
Yeah. And there's a lot of crimps, so at some point your forearms are starting to feel the burn.
Yeah, it's just good open-handed position there, but the thumb is doing work. And it's just gonna make, that's a really good fight.
Oh, nice. Got the clip in.
Maybe, I don't see a lot of resting positions on this route. Oh my goodness, this is a battle.
Nice.
That is excellent climbing from Sasha Duchesne, and that's gonna be our high point by several holds.
That's the type of fight you really want to have in semifinals.
And you feel good about it. Even if you don't make a final, if that's the way you climbed that route, then you feel good about yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you have to untie your knot. I still, to this day, we have people come out, we have belayers, right? We have the people pulling ropes, people carrying your shoes for you. Just let someone untie your rope. You're pumped.
Yes.
Anybody who's done any type of lead climbing and taken a fall and been so gassed, and then you have to stand on the floor in front of everybody in the gym and try to untie your knot. It's maybe the worst feeling.
The hardest part of the comp.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a difficult position to be in for sure.
I actually did a little lead while I was doing my volume training, and I remembered how painful it is.
Exactly.
It's so painful.
That's the right word for it. That is the right word for it.
Yeah.
As we see Luke Smallwood come out, and Tiana Tai just behind.
Now, let's not forget that most of these athletes were also doing bouldering 2 days ago.
2 days ago. And I mean, how are you feeling? So you're gassed, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
You had a day off yesterday, but you woke up this morning. Would you be excited to rock climb today?
Well, I did try the men's boulder after the finals. So no, I did not have any skin. I'm sore from everywhere. I would be excited to climb, but definitely really tired. Yeah,
right.
So I bet most of them are sore and tired, for sure.
And they're choosing to climb both because we have some lead specialists who climbed in boulder, we have some boulder specialists who climbed in lead, and we have some people who are really dialing in both. And it's becoming more and more common about 15 years ago, you had a handful of World Cup level climbers who were both disciplines. And now a lot more are climbing both disciplines. And then now, of course, with the advent of the Olympic format changing, you have a lot more athletes who are interested in excelling in both disciplines.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to just kind of get it together and come back out and tie in and deal with whatever's in front of you.
Yeah, I gotta say it's part of the fun too. It's nice to feel like a little warrior out there. Just keep climbing one day after the other.
Yeah.
Just climbing when you're tired. It can be fun a little bit too.
And you figure out what you're made of a little bit.
For sure.
You're like, can I? Because you said I could have climbed today. I didn't want but I didn't really want to try hard. But if you really needed to, you probably would have.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Also can help alleviate some of the pressure almost, because you know you're tired. You're just like, let's just do this lead thing and do whatever I can with what I have.
Yeah. And it's like when you go to the gym and you think, if I could just do one more set, and you see what happens. And then so here you don't let go, and you sort of just do one more move until you fall. And that mindset is just one more move, just one more move. We used to call that the Finding Nemo effect of just keep swimming.
Yeah.
As long as you keep swimming, then you might be in good shape.
Yeah.
Ooh, just Luke making maybe a little just sequence decision there that seemed like he was trying to use that volume and then immediately changed his mind.
Yeah, we can't really see the holes that are under these little triangles. They're not great, is what I've heard.
Yeah, that's, so now Luke is hanging on, and Tiana was looking very good, and is now just starting to look a little bit gassed. And Luke on cue. That is where the angle changes on both routes. So that's where it starts to get where you think, I think I'm okay. Like, and you know that feeling, I know that feeling, people at home know that feeling, you're like, yeah, I might do this. Yeah. And then you lean back, and then your feet suddenly disappear, and then you have to full crimp something, and then you think, oh, that gig is up, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do one more move and it's over. And you go from looking wildly calm to hanging on the end of the rope.
Yeah.
There are a few climbers across the levels, some Canadian climbers, and there's some World Cup level climbers. You know when they're starting to struggle, but they hang on forever.
Yeah.
And then other people come off, and you're like, well, why did you slip? And they're like, oh, pumped out of my mind.
Yeah.
But they hide it, sort of quote unquote, really, really well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing that I like the most lead climbing, is having your elbows almost in your ears, and you're just like, oh, I'm still on the wall, so might as well just keep climbing, I guess. Don't really know how you're still on the wall, but you're there, so. And
if you're watching, if you don't watch a lot of lead climbing or a lot of lead competitions, Sab, what you said there, your sort of elbows up by your ears, that's something, if you're betting it with your friends at home where you think people are going to get to, look for elbows. Elbows starting to come up above your shoulders. It's just part of the physicality of being able to be in control and be in compression. As you start to lose that, the elbows come up. Yeah, that's it's a pretty clear sign that the clock is running out. Yeah, for sure. But there are some athletes, like you said, that just keep climbing until the end of time. Yeah, it's wild. Yeah. Elliot Roberts will be on the right, and then Lena Slipashevich will be on the left. Some climbers elect to take a little extra time to look at the route. The farther we go into the field, they'll have been in ISO for an hour, and they maybe do want to refamiliarize themselves with some holds in the middle of the route. But generally here, the climbers kind of come out, and they take maybe 30 seconds, and then boom, they're off to the races. Yeah, if you wait, you can also start to overthink it, I think. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, and maybe second guess something. Maybe you have an A and a B sequence just in case. Oh, if that hold's not as good as I think it is, and I'll do this instead of that. When you've competed lead a little bit. Yeah. You prefer bouldering. For sure, yeah. But when you're looking at a route, do you have a backup plan, or do you have, if that doesn't work, I'll figure it out, or do you kind of go, if that doesn't work, I'll do this? Yeah, I think it's the one thing you really want when lead climbing is really good, capable of reading the route correctly, but then really good adaptation skills. Yes. You really want both. In the moment, if something feels wrong, just go with your gut, and then sometimes you really have to go with the route reading.
That's something I found hard to when I was training lead. But yeah, definitely kind of depends. Some people are more intuition, then some people are more, I need to read this and memorize
And then execute it and memorize it, yeah. I love that they did their cross-throughs almost in tandem there. That was a nice moment. Elliot,
clip though.
Yeah.
Nice.
Lana, I was just going to say, Lana, that sort of the false match on top of that pocket, that's also a bit of a telltale sign that maybe the gas is running out.
And you can see she's a bit disappointed.
Yeah.
Too.
The face tells all, ooh, don't do that. Oh my God, that's an instinct that it's sometimes tough to get over, but grabbing the draw, that makes my heart skip a beat. I've seen some injuries that could be avoided.
Oh no, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he maybe wanted to grab the volume, but then was a little further than he would think he was.
Yeah, I think you're right. And then just sort of that's where his hand came through.
Yeah, there's this big jump in the men's route. There was also a big jump in the women's qualifiers.
Mm-hmm.
Right in the middle of the route, just to scare you off a little bit.
Because I mean, lead sport climbing is inherently actually quite safe. Competition climbing is inherently quite safe, but you still look at it and go, oh yeah, like I gotta, like falling out of a dyno, even in a steeper part of the wall, like you know you're gonna come in hot.
Yeah.
So and there's some people that climb lead who still haven't shed the ability to be like, I climb till I fall with no regard for human safety. Some people's internal safety net still kicks in. I remember the McNamee twins when they were youth climbers never fell. And they did everything like just like us, the slowest, grindiest movements because they didn't want to ever be at risk. They were so afraid of falling. And it made them weirdly good at lead climbing or at top rope when they were younger, but it made them weirdly good at this type of climbing. And then because they were working so hard, they got really strong. And that enabled them to then take those risks. So that it's like, it's not the cycle you want to embark on, is take kids who are afraid of climbing on ropes and then make them do it till they get really strong. But occasionally, the cycle comes through that way.
Yeah, and you'll also see the other type of athlete who just really will go for it. And that's why we have really qualified belayers.
Yes. Yeah, and we need to take a moment, of course, to thank all the volunteers, of course, the judges are volunteers, everybody that helps put a comp on, the routes that have done a fabulous, fabulous job. But the pressure position is the belayers because the athletes take risks. And they can't tell them no. They can't do anything other than make the safest possible catch at the end of whatever that athlete decides to do.
Yeah, and you'll see some people skip clips, fall when clipping, or do some. They just want to get some more moves in, so they don't really care.
They do wild things.
Yeah.
They do wild things. Sophie King now, and Stefan Mortono, probably Steven. I chose to make him Spanish or Italian for no reason there. I do have a habit of making English people French as well because I feel that, there's a lot of people with English names and we're in Montreal, so I just make people French. So he could be Stefan.
Yes, Stefan. He's from Ontario, so.
Probably. But I think people mispronounce your name all the time because you have a French-English sort of smashed together.
Yeah.
So some people leave the H off, some people add the H.
Yeah.
It must be frustrating for you.
Yeah. Also, a lot of people think my last name is my Instagram handle.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's not the...
No. So people don't know how to find you in real life. They're like,
for sure.
where's the Rassandur? I don't know where that is.
Yeah, I've kept that because of that, because people I was working with for years thought it was my name, and I thought that was the funniest thing.
That's great. Oh, this is a real... I mean, look, her feet are so low.
Yeah.
My goodness, that's going to put a little bit of extra strain on those fingertips.
Yeah.
But...
he's fighting through it.
One more move. Oh.
Yeah, he looked pretty uncomfortable there.
Yeah. Through the cross. Feel that depending on where your choosing to smear. She did that sort of same false match that we just saw Lana get through. And that's an interesting spot. I mean, we do have another dozen more climbers to go through to kind of point it out. But I think on the women's route, because there's volumes on both sides. So the really wide, shallow drop knee is a smear.
Yeah.
And depending on where you're choosing to smear is either making the beginning of the move easier or the end of the move easier. And we've seen some people come through there very cleanly, and then some otherwise quite strong climbers look all out of sorts in that position.
Yeah. Well, I think in this type of move, when you're on the left hand, you're comfortable, and when you're all the way over in your right hand, you're comfortable. But there's this little middle part where there's nothing really comfortable, and it seems like also a little bit of a bicep move where you really need to lock off into that right hand to turn your body over.
And the athletes that climbed in the final yesterday on the last boulder, which was one hand pull through bicep, and it was the last boulder, so everyone tried it for the full 4 minutes. You might get there and go, oh wow, my elbow and my bicep are gassed from 2 days ago.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
That is a thing that happens.
Yeah. That boulder, I decided to just try instead of resting.
You did. It was, and we love it on the broadcast because of the fight and the fire, and it's nonstop action.
Yeah.
But in your head, you're like, I should take a sit down.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna.
No, I kept thinking, you know what? I'm strong. I don't need rest.
Of course, I'm good at this, right? I'm good at this.
Yeah.
This is a national final. I'm climbing in it. I'm gonna do this move.
Yeah, but also I'm human, and I just needed to rest a little bit.
Is that one of those moments, so as we talk about the mental aspect, and it's very prevalent in bouldering as well, it's different in lead climbing. Does everything you train into your competition mind, does it sometimes go out the window? You're sort of aware that you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing, but you do it anyway, or you kind of look back and go, oh my God, I was blinders on, in the zone, forgot everything I know about how to manage my time properly.
Sometimes it's just you can't help yourself. We love climbing so much, and we just want to do the move. And it's a short time. 4 minutes it goes so quickly. So you don't want to rest. You're also putting on a show for people, so you just really want to hop on the wall. It takes actually a lot of experience to just learn to sit on the mat, wait out.
Yeah, it is one of the hardest things, and again, Maddie was mentioning it too. She's like, when you're sitting on the mat, letting a minute and a half drill down, you're acutely aware that you're the entertainment and you're not entertaining anyone.
For sure, yeah.
And they're just poking you with the stick, do something. Why aren't you jumping?
Yeah, for sure. They don't always understand why you're doing that.
It's we paid to watch you do exciting things.
Graciela was bouldering also this weekend, so
see how she feels. Yeah, she's just getting stronger every time I see her at competitions. It's been a real fun journey over the last couple of years. And her sister Evangelina, I mean, obviously they push each other. So
yep. That's Antoine Carreau on the right. He's a lead climber, boulder, and he's also a youth climber.
Yeah. And where some of the climbers in their last season of youth are able to compete in senior as well. So they will have done youth nationals in the spring, and then they're doing senior nationals. And the season can be a bit confusing because this is sort of 24-25. So this is the start of our competition season. So he was in sort of youth nationals, quote unquote, last year, but it was earlier this year. And he's moving very confidently into this place.
Yep.
Clipping quite late, which I'm okay with. If you're in a good position.
Confident.
Oh, he saved it. On all, just carried too much momentum for how pumped he was.
Yeah.
But a really good save.
Yeah. That little slip, I think, was hard to come back from.
Yeah. And then here, it's just, the route setters have created uncertainty.
Oh, no.
And I'm going to say I'm surprised there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you see some people take this right hand hold with 3 fingers, and then she only had 2, which seems a lot harder.
Seems like one less than optimal.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, ideally, you would want a really, really small finger so you can just put all of them. Just
Stack them in there. And the body language is also something we look for. As people who are untying and looking up are generally not super satisfied with how they've climbed because they're looking at, you know, what led them into where they got to, why they fell, and you have that. I love-hate lead climbing. I only ever competed in lead for a little while. I don't have my systems don't function in a way to recover very well, so I get pumped pretty quickly, and bouldering came at the right time for me. I was like, yes, let's only ever boulder.
Yes.
But I have competed at lead enough to know that feeling where sometimes you're just like, while you're in the air, you're already analyzing what you did wrong, and that's how instant it can be. And because it's one shot only, by the time you're on the ground, you're like, I had more.
Yeah.
Or I left everything out there, and that's sort of where that shift comes in.
Yeah, I love lead climbing, but lead comps are just like another animal.
It's a whole different beast.
Yeah, and you like warm up for a long time, and then you wait for your turn, and then when you do only a couple moves, it can really be disappointing.
And you can't get if your warm-up cycle is off, you can get flash pumped, and then you're fighting that lactic acid burn from super low down on a route, especially a route that, like, the women's route's quite pinchy, and the men's route is like open-handed here and then quite crimpy.
Yeah.
So they're perfectly designed to be like, I don't know, did you warm up right? How fit are you?
Yeah.
You can't just relax, right? You can't sink down into your joints. You can't like pull through gently.
Yeah.
You're squeezing from the start, and unless your gym is 60, 70 feet, we have to make people fall. So we need to. You can have sort of people who are technically good enough but get pumped, and then people who are wildly fit but run into a move that they technically can't execute, and then sort of everywhere between that spectrum.
Yeah, the setters definitely want to test the athletes. You don't want them to feel comfortable, and you want to challenge them, and the athletes want to be challenged as well. So
yes, yeah, people want to fall doing hard things, not make silly mistakes on easy things.
Exactly.
Grace Bowles on the left side from Alberta. Levi Powell, one of our BC climbers, just sort of stalled a bit here. That's a committing move on the men's route.
Yep.
And I think this men's route gets you in positions too that we teach people, we coach people out of, which is try not to get overly extended. Try not to be like down your tiptoes and reaching way up over your head, because that's hard to keep blood flow. So it sort of is designed to do all the things you're not supposed to do climbing.
Yeah.
No. That little crossbody rotation was what led him astray, and the holds just aren't quite good enough to recover.
Yeah.
You knock that to a route that you can do at home in your gym, and you can afford to swing back and forth a few times.
Yeah.
But here, you were mentioning earlier, all of the crimps on both the men's and the women's route are bad. So Grace, see how high the right foot is in the smear?
Yeah. Oh, she really
stuck
needs
in
to
the
turn
rope.
over.
Getting a bit of an undercling match and
nice.
finding.
She's finding good positions, but they seem like they're taking a long time to go in them. I don't know if it'll take her energy.
Maybe that little knee scum, maybe, right? Maybe that's taking a little bit of weight off, but we'll get back to that. I love that point that you made, and it's something that's really important with lead climbing technique, is about choosing the positions and how taxing they are versus how much you think you're going to save. Big wind up, holds the crimp, love it. And then
great commitment.
Huge commitment. That's good climbing from Grace. So after a few people falling low in the cross through on the two-finger pocket, some good work there from Grace. Let's go back to that. So it can seem counterintuitive to say, well, why wouldn't you find all of these perfectly balanced positions? Why wouldn't you find the big drop knee? Why wouldn't you find the splits? Why wouldn't you find the knee scum? But if it takes longer to get in and out of than the amount of energy it's saving you to do the thing you're trying to do, then it's actually less efficient.
Yes, exactly. And you can see it in the men's route as well. When you're crossing, there's like a big cross move. You don't want to be too careful. You kind of just want to cross right over to the other side so that you're going fast in the really good position.
Yeah, you want to. You're basically hunting the exchange of strong positions. So you want to be in control. You could be out of control on the way if you know that when you get there, you're going to be tall, like strong enough, tall enough, where your feet or your upper body are coming around, where you're not like at max extension or opening up all the time. So sometimes, you'll see what a more powerful move that creates more momentum is actually easier to control than a just barely, right? You have no room in your elbows to reach, and life just gets really hard really fast.
Yeah. Yeah, on the women's side, it was, seems like, was it Grace that just climbed?
Grace, yeah.
Seemed to be maybe asking herself a lot of questions at the beginning, really trying to find the positions. And I think that maybe took a little bit of energy out.
And then sort of, as you could see, where she was like, maybe I don't have enough gas, she started just making snappy decisions and was climbing really well, right at the end. Yeah. You can definitely be too careful. And we saw Sarah Gatotos take like a full running start. That makes me nervous. That slips are imminent in that position. Lewis Tong here.
Yeah, thank God we haven't seen anyone fall.
On the first move?
On the first move.
See, you might now get your introduction to the commentator's curse.
Oh, no.
You have suggested that we have not seen anyone fall starting the women's route.
True.
I almost guarantee that if that happens now, it's going to be your fault.
It happens, I mean, it happens, so...
This is a non-ideal clipping position. You see that snappy recovery just in time.
Oh.
And then, running out of gas, really.
We don't see a whole lot of athletes shaking their hands. Seems like it's more they get powered out more than really pumped.
Yeah, which turns it, maybe these are designed as sprints more than, find the rest position. And maybe like athletes are just getting so good that if you give them a rest, like a recovery position, they'll just top your routes. For
sure, yeah. The moves do look pretty burly, so I think they're pretty powerful.
Yeah. But people will surprise you strong reach from Sarah. It is no texture on the outside of that pocket, so they're not really getting a lot when they match it.
Yeah.
Oh. Fixing the smears. And there's so much volume work in this area that you have options.
Yeah, sometimes options are not as
not
good
what
as
you want.
Exactly. Look, this clip.
Oh my goodness, that's a long clip.
Yeah, it took a little bit of energy out.
And it might seem, I definitely have talked to people in the past who are not, who don't watch a lot of competition climbing, and they sort of have mentioned, well, isn't it a bit unfair that some people have trouble clipping? And you think, it seems that way, but it's part of the sport. If you're climbing outside, clipping draws is part of your fitness. You have to find positions. Sometimes they're really uncomfortable. Sometimes you're reaching. The route setter's job is to set a lead route that is safe, where you're not in a position ever to be in danger of falling uncontrollably or have to reach so far that the fall will take you close to the ground. But athletes can choose where to clip from. And if they choose badly...
Well, they'll actually look at the clips when they're previewing the route. They'll also look at where should I clip from here. Sometimes it's hard. You want to clip lower because you're a little afraid, but sometimes the hold is better above.
And sometimes it's better if the clip is just right beside your shoulder or your hip. You don't have a lot of travel time. And you'll see, I don't know that we get it on this route. There might be one, you'll see they'll lean out and get the long quick draws. They'll get them swinging, so they don't have to reach. They'll kind of catch it when it's right back. I know Sean McCall was great for he called them like tiny, tiny micro rests, where you reach long and you sink to clip, and you just get a little, you just weight the draw just enough while you're hanging there. He's like, everybody that's part of lead climbing is still like, you still have to clip the draws.
I've actually never thought about that.
Yeah, I've seen climbers try and catch the rope under their foot. So as they lean back to rest, the rope is holding their weight. There's tons and tons of tricks in there.
Maybe I should. He's been struggling with the start a little bit.
Joel Neufeld just And now his heart rate is going to go up.
Yeah.
And now he maybe is a little bit nervous.
Our heart rate is also going up.
Exactly. Jordan Scarola ran from off camera to in frame to do the start of this route.
Yeah.
You can just jump. I'm here to tell you, it's under 6 feet off the ground. You can just give it a little hop.
Athletes chose to not even use the foot, just like straight up jump.
Yeah. Just to keep it exciting, right? If they all climbed the route the same way, Sab, it would be boring.
For sure.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Jeez.
That was he held on with only one arm, I think.
Yeah. And that will take its toll.
Yeah.
You can only do that so many times.
Yeah, I hope he climbs super high just to surprise us.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Maybe that's just how he climbs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He's been saving all
He's just here to make his coaches nervous.
Yeah. It makes for a good fight at least. So.
Yep.
Oh.
And a good look at the right hand let go. The crimps are bad.
Yeah, they are.
Jordan Scarola getting into this. And you can't get your right foot up first, and a bunch of them have looked for it. I mean, I love the setting in this sequence just because it's the same move, tons of variety.
Yeah.
Long reach here, but maybe. Oh, good grief.
Yes. I wonder if at that spot there's like a spot in the route where you kind of feel like, okay, I'm high enough that I'll be satisfied.
I'm okay with it.
Bit. Yeah. You don't want to fall in the first few draws. So sometimes that can be hard mentally. You're like, oh, I'm fighting more than I thought I would at the beginning.
Which is not okay. And then you kind of get past that. You're like, at least I survived.
Yes.
And you kind of just, oh my goodness. It's so hard to see steepness on a screen at home. It's Jordan, a really good fight through there.
Yeah.
But you see, even trying to keep pressure on that foot, it's far away.
Yeah.
And it's in about a 30-degree overhang. And that adds, it's exponential how much the steepness changes. Because it's not just, it's steeper, so I'm on my arms more, but the shape of all the holds changes.
Yeah.
So the way you're able to apply pressure on a foothold changes, how much core you have to bring in changes. Maddie and I talked about it on the bouldering finals. It's like the boxing analogy where you think that all the knockouts come from getting punched in the face, but if you get hit around the body a lot, the fatigue sets in, and a route that has a ton of core makes it hard to breathe, and you start to get fatigued. You're like, my hands feel okay. I don't feel super pumped, but I don't want to swing my legs around anymore. Like I'm exhausted from the ribs down.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of different ways that you can make climbers fall, and the goal is to have a show. The goal is to make it exciting, but at the same time, climbers need to fall off, and that's unfortunately part of the game.
Yeah, and this wall is extremely steep, and I don't know if everyone has access also to like gyms that have really, really steep walls. They are a little less, like lead gyms are a little less popular than bouldering gyms. So you definitely don't always have access to a lot of training on really steep walls. And it's definitely different climbing. So.
Yeah, very. And you sort of think, I've got the fitness, like I can do the fitness, but it's not only the fitness, it's the different kind of climbing technique that comes along with it. And it's an excellent point. So as you see.
Nice.
Just deciding to start from the ground. Grace Cam. That's Anna Roswald.
And they're gonna brush pretty soon, so the holes will be a little cleaner for the next climbers, which is always a little unfortunate to be the last person.
Before the brushing break?
Right before the brushing. Oh no.
Oh my goodness. Peter Noonan, who, I thought looked like he was in control.
Yeah. Maybe they are starting to get a little dirty.
The chalk, it does build up across the first dozen climbers. And everybody's always chalking.
Yeah.
And it's warm, right? Some people are spending more time on the holds than others. She gets into the high drop knee right away, but that right shake.
That's like the moment you need to breathe and just keep it together. Oh, nice.
She gets it.
Yeah.
Did it take too much? I think that was her scream we heard. She's not clipping, so that she is going to go for that long reach.
I feel like sometimes the crowd, when they are cheering you on so much, can really give you like some energy that you didn't think you had. Sometimes it can also do the opposite, kind of make you feel nervous. Like
why are they yelling at me?
Yeah. It kind of depends how you're feeling.
I was going to say, it depends on your feeling, because you can kind of go back and forth from one event to another, or season over season. I remember when I was sort of in the heart of competing that I really enjoyed when I got down into a place where I couldn't really hear anything distinctly. I could hear the music, and then I was so focused in that zone. And then I remember sort of eras where you're like, oh, you can hear one person's voice that you recognize, and you're like, that's what I'm going to listen for. I'm going to listen for that one cheer, and hopefully didn't get too distracted.
Yeah, I think the best is when you can kind of choose what you hear and what you don't hear, depending on what you need in the moment. Sometimes you really need the crowd, and then sometimes you just want to forget that the crowd is there.
I don't want people to be watching me do this thing right now.
Yeah, sometimes you can also only hear your coach or your partner or your family. Kind of need to use what you need and then forget the rest.
Sometimes it depends on the day you're having. And I apologize to Aiden. That was Agent Rajan that was calling before. I was one off on my start list. This is Peter Noonan and Grace Cam over on the left-hand side. And after this, we'll have the brushing break. I'm starting to enjoy the start of this men's route simply because they look off-put by it. No one looks like they're flowing out of it.
Yeah. Well, the girls have a jump, but we didn't mention that the guys need to step on a hold that has no texture on it, which is super slippery.
Yeah, and really uncomfortable overall.
Yeah. There's also the side of the wall that's usable, but you maybe don't know if you want to use it.
And it opens up quite like it might give you that, you're like, oh, I'll use this, and if you commit to it, it doesn't catch you, boom.
Yeah, there's also like a little like metallic rim like on the that's slippery.
It is slippery, you're right.
So sometimes you're like, oh, there's a wall, and it's just you're surprised by, oh, it's slippery, and I didn't know that.
And now I do, and it's too late.
Exactly. Nice. Oh, nice turn into that.
Very smooth. I love that it looks like she's got her lead climbing credentials still clipped to her harness. We know you've got it.
Exactly.
Her home gym credentials. Peter Noonan.
Oh, nice.
He's also going to clip late.
Yeah.
Which looks like a good position, but the left hand, and you even see now his elbow coming up, the left hand is not that good.
Yeah, I feel like this part is hard to know if you want to clip before or after this jump.
And you sort of will never really know.
Exactly, yeah.
As Grace gets past, the first of the little cruxes, I think, is getting out of the gray volumes into the red volumes, and you see full extension overhead.
Yeah.
So hard to reel that in. But also really hard to bring your feet up high when you're pumped. The higher your feet come, the more your hips come out.
Yeah.
And that ball rolls down the hill very fast.
Yeah, and sometimes just feeling the pump, you start to feel nervous, and then you get more pumped, and it's just like an endless cycle. Yeah, I talk about nervousness a lot because I find it so stressful.
And I think it's valid because you've been competing for quite a while, and it's not that years of experience just means that you shed nervousness.
Yeah.
And I remember quite a long time ago at one of the Block Shop Opens, I was talking to Greg Verzonik, who's been climbing on the World Cup forever. And we were just chatting. You know, I was in ISO. I was allowed in ISO. You know, it was a festival, like no CEC jury presidents around to say you can't be there. So I was doing little interviews with people, and I said to him, you know, are you nervous? Are you not nervous? And he said, today I'm a little bit nervous. And I said, oh, and so what are you going to do about that? And he's like, I choose to embrace the mood that I'm in every time I'm in it. So if I'm feeling a bit nervous and I try and change my mood, now I'm putting all this mental energy into not being nervous instead of just embracing the feeling of maybe being nervous. He's like, nervous energy is still energy. And if you don't fight it and you lean in, then okay. And if I'm feeling super confident, then I just roll with being super confident. And for me, that was something that I sort of inherently knew, I think, but never heard anyone express so cleanly. And I kind of love that it's okay to be nervous.
Yeah, it's the same with fear when you're climbing. I usually tell the athletes that I coach, don't try to not be scared, because if you're feeling scared, you can't really control that feeling. Just try to execute the technique, and then your mind goes to that, so there's less space for the fear. Yeah,
and I love that you described the same way that Maddie did, where there's only so much space for your emotions, and you can fill it up. So that's so well described. And you know, if you're a newer climber or a newer competitor, take that advice, write it down. That's something to put in your notebook. That's excellent advice from a very experienced competitor. And so what we've done is we're going to shuffle out of the order. We don't know what the judges decide, but Mathieu Bonneville is climbing now, and the women's side is on the brushing break. So we were in tune because the lone female climber climbed early. So we'll see what we will see what happens. We're along for the ride, basically the same as you are. I don't have any extra information. There's no one texting me. Oh, yes, there is. Look, I just looked at my phone as we see Mathieu coming through, looking low and in control here.
Yes. Yeah, I feel like I don't know Mathieu that well, but I feel like he's a pretty technical climber. So he's climbing really well right now. Ooh. 5 foot on that
Just
volume.
To get this balance. Is he going to try and get a rest?
I was thinking he's going to clip. He needs to jump.
He spent so... He spent too long, maybe second guessing, maybe thinking, maybe looking for perfect position.
Yeah, I think right when he was about to go, he had that slip, and then it's hard to recover from. That was good climbing from him.
Really good climbing.
Beginning,
Very quickly, he moved very efficiently up to that. He didn't have sort of the same pauses we've seen from some of the other climbers through there. And really highlighting, actually, some of the taller climbers got stuck in reachy positions, which make for long pulls. He's not. He's a sort of mid-sized climber. A good example that some people often think, so the route looks reachy, so all the tall climbers will have an advantage. Not the case at all. Finding good positions is what it's all about.
Yeah, and this little spot with the big fit volume, the gray volume, looks like the feet are pretty high, actually. So it kind of feels like maybe when you're taller, it might be a little less comfortable.
Yeah, small box, as we say.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to tell you who sent me the text, because I'm not gonna sell out what happened. But there was an error on the judging on the running side, and they sent an athlete out, the male athlete out by mistake.
Oh, okay.
So at the end, the last female climber will be climbing alone.
Okay.
Which isn't terrible. It's fun for us to be able to focus on one person. But it wasn't some clever situation. We weren't making up for something. There's no technicals. It was just straight up somebody made a mistake. Huge shout out to Beta Breakers for putting on the live stream for us for Canadian Nationals. It's a long drive from New York. Loaded up the car with all the equipment and on a solo mission. And then we've been gathering people. So Basim and I, had a few conversations about a month ago and said, let's do everything we can to put a live stream on for Nationals, and we'll figure it out when we get here. So he drove up with all and we were We've been looking for camera people on the fly when we got here because we couldn't announce it super early because we didn't know we were going to do it. So we didn't really have a lot lined up, but people are stepping up. And I laughed, Saba. I was texting this morning with my wife. She was, "Are you excited? You know, semifinals?" And I said, "Yeah, I got to, get to the venue and I got to track down a co-commentator.
Nice.
And maybe from someone that didn't qualify. That's when we don't have a pair set up already. That's what we'll do." And she said, "Feels like you're leaving a bit late, doesn't it?" And I was like, "It might seem that way, but that's part of the game this year, and sometimes that's the way it goes." And not more than 5 minutes later, you texted me.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And I took a screenshot and I sent it back to her, and I'm like, and sometimes the universe provides.
Exactly.
So I appreciate you, knowing that we were doing the stream, knowing that you had the day off, that you weren't climbing lead, and deciding to put your hand up and come down on the stream. And how's it been so far, sitting up in the booth?
It's been really great. I actually was like almost as excited as I was to climb boulders. I watch every comp, so it's really fun to do the thing that I see you do all the time. Yeah.
And it's a pretty good seat in the house. You don't have to crane your neck quite as much, right? So you get to hang out here, and then we get to nerd out a little bit about climbing. We get to talk about movement. We get to talk about insights. We try and give you just enough information to maybe make you think that when the next climber comes out that you have you're armed with a little bit more information. Maybe you're recognizing the shift in body positions, and ultimately, even watching climbers better than you, if you're internalizing the reasons why they do what they do, can make you a better climber the next time you go step out on the wall.
For sure. Yeah, you can learn a lot from watching comps. I think I would recommend that to every athlete for sure. Watch the World Cups, even the nationals from other countries as well is pretty interesting. Helps you see the level. In bouldering, I remember I used to watch people and count like how many seconds they took rest between their attempts, just to see how do these people make their decisions based on what boulders they're climbing, to help me. Like, oh, okay, they're waiting like a full minute. Like, this seems like a lot to me, but it's not for Miho Nonaka. So,
right. So you think, okay, yeah, and it's such a good point, is the tactics and the strategy, because your World Cup climbers are head and shoulders. Yep. But it doesn't mean that you can't learn from how they do what they do.
Exactly.
And it's such a wonderful thing to point out is, well, if Miho can sit on the mat for a minute and deal with it, knowing what's on the line, then I can sit on the mat and deal with it.
And it's actually the smarter thing to do, actually. You're doing the thing that's going to make you top the boulder.
And in your mind, what you're thinking is, well, if I go now, I'll have one. If I fall, I'll have one more try.
Yeah.
And Miho is thinking, if I will do the boulder.
Exactly.
So I'm going to give myself as much chance to do the boulder. She's not thinking, if I slip, I'll have one more chance. She's like, I'm just going to do the boulder next try. And that's a fundamental mind shift.
Yeah, there was one move in, I think, qualifiers. That was like a lache dyno thing. That was only in the arms, and I only gave 3 tries in my 5 minutes. But between every try, I was thinking, I need energy, not time for this move. And I just kept saying that in my head because I knew it was a really burly move, but not a really quick move. So you don't really need time to do the boulder, but you do need the energy, so you need to rest.
And in some boulders is almost the opposite. You might be on the slab and you're like, this thing is going to take me 40, 50 seconds from start to end. I need to give myself the time, and I'm not gassed, and understanding where the interplay is between those things. And that's what makes competition exciting.
Yeah.
And that's what makes watching, the more knowledge you have about why things are happening, then you understand the strategy and the tactics. It's like watching a sport where you don't understand the coaching decisions, and you're like, well, why would you bring a guy on with like 4 or 6 minutes left in a soccer game that was 90 minutes long? And you're like, okay, because everyone else is 90 minutes tired, and he's beginning game fresh. So those kinds of, when someone explains those kind of decisions, and the climbing decisions are essentially coaching decisions, you're just all by yourself.
Yes. Yeah, which makes it a little harder to be objective sometimes.
A lot harder to be objective. Because you're like, I'm a genius, right? I do nothing wrong. And then sometimes you're like, I'm a moron. Like, I can't do anything right.
Yeah, it's definitely hard. When you're trying the boulders or the routes after a comp, sometimes you're like, huh, this isn't as hard as I would think.
Yeah.
But you don't realize how you would do when the clock's running, the crowd's cheering, and you care a lot too. Like you can definitely care too much about the results.
And the adrenaline sometimes makes you feel like you've got more energy than you do.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, oh man, I'm king of the world right now.
Yeah.
Let me go crush this boulder. And you pull on the start holds. You're like, let me just sit down for a
Yes.
minute.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you definitely forget that you're not superhero.
Yeah. Well, I think we're immediately correcting our tiny judging order error by
Okay.
sending Sophia out on her own.
Yeah.
I'm loving this. We are nothing if not adaptable. And we have Sophia Bada embarking on the start of the route after the brushing break. So slightly fresher holds.
Yes.
I love watching. I love when the crowd cheers for the route setters brushing holds.
Yeah.
Makes me laugh.
Yeah, well, it is really, really exhausting.
It is so hard.
to set
Pulling
for
on quick
these.
draws and reaching.
Yeah.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah.
You do some route setting as well, yeah?
Not anymore as much. I used to set regularly, and now I set like once in a while when I feel like it. It was too hard to set and train for competition.
Right.
It's really hard on the body to set. It's hard for the injuries, not to get injured.
It's good for your mind because you're constantly thinking of new movement patterns.
Yeah.
But oh my goodness, it is exhausting. It's a tough job.
It's good and also bad because I remember at one point I needed to learn that I can crimp the edge of a volume or not do the sequence correctly.
Yeah.
I used to have like too much of a setter's mind, so you need a balance.
Yeah, you need to be trying to find the clever solution
Yeah.
versus always the design solution. Often the design solution is the right one.
Yeah.
But here you see that just the hint of indecision
Yeah.
changes, and then that foot is right on the edge of that volume. My goodness, that was tenuous. Sophia hunting some secure position and is looking at the clip, but not going to clip it. Now she's hunting points.
Yeah. She might. Oh yeah. Okay. She's able to clip from there,
Okay.
which is good. Maybe I said it too quickly. She's not clipped in yet. Oh no. Yeah, it took a little bit too much time to clip.
And I was just about to say that looked like a secure position, but I did not. So that would not be an egregious error on. I was just about to say, she looks really secure there.
Yeah. You'll see some really motivated lead athletes that'll simply practice clipping. Not even climbing, just maybe like on a spray wall or something, just practicing clipping because you want to clip really fast so it doesn't take too much energy. And you see here she took a little bit too much time clipping and it gassed her out, I think.
And the angle, the rope starts to get heavy. And when you're trying to push the rope in, like I'm miming it out, you can't see this, but I'm miming it out. When you're below your hips and you're reaching backwards, as you pull the rope, you don't have like you're not holding it. So you're always guiding the rope. And if you do a lot of lead climbing, you'll know what I'm talking. Like you might have a visceral reaction to, oh my God, I've done that and fallen and nearly died. If you don't do a lot of lead climbing, watch and you'll notice either the people that are super efficient or the people that are less efficient. Like, ooh, they look like they're struggling. And there's people who just, it's an afterthought. Sean McCall was the fastest clipper I've ever seen at a World Cup level climber. He just would, it always seemed like he reached out and clipped in the perfect position and almost always did it on the way to somewhere else.
Yeah, that's the best.
So it wasn't like reach up, clip, come back. It was like reach out, clip, and then continue that hand movement along to the next hold. And oh my goodness, it saves, by the time you get to the top of the route, it might save you 20 or 30 seconds of effort.
For sure, yeah.
Which is a ton of effort.
Yeah. You can hear from the cheer that we have two Quebec athletes. Lots of cheers from the local crowd.
Marie-André Roy and Lucas Boivin.
I wonder too if the athletes from the bouldering rounds that didn't do so well in bouldering can either come to lead a little like less confident, or either the other way, more hungry.
Yes.
And they just really want to do well because they didn't do as well in bouldering.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, for sure, both of those are on the table. Ooh, good.
Nice save.
Good save. This angle is maybe even a better look at how far away this move is, just because it shows you the angle of the wall. My goodness, he does it just by the fingertips.
Oh, he clips from there.
And clips across the body, and now has to find the gas. Marie-André spinning through the two-finger pocket. The crowd is into it.
Oh, nice.
Luca sticks it. Oh my goodness.
So good.
Now we're in some business. So not since a way back have we had a male climber up to this spot on the route.
Yeah, this hold is pretty positive, so he can rest a little bit on it.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. You even see the hips sagging a little bit. It's Marie-André fighting and everything he had just to get there. Good fight, good effort.
Yeah, really good fight.
Haven't seen anyone stick the dyno in, since maybe,
no.
That's that. Way back, maybe Elliot stuck the dyno, Elliot Robert.
Yeah,
Trying to remember.
Like we only saw a few of them.
Yeah. That was exciting. That worked. The brushing break, some people get some water, maybe go to the washroom, get a cafe, and then you come back, and that woke some people up a bit. A good fight on both sides.
Yeah, I think we're starting also to really want to see some progression on these routes.
Yes, we're hungry for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're hungry for it.
Yeah, I want to see someone in the top part of the women's route, and then also someone fight on these big.
Me too. I always get. I've been doing this for so long now, and I still get excited to see people do difficult things.
For sure.
More than when I sit at home and watch a World Cup on my couch or on the laptop. When you feel connected to it, you really start rooting for not individuals. You're just rooting for movement to be displayed.
Yeah, for the fight.
Yeah. And the route setters want. It's something we talk about quite a lot. It's not climbers versus route setters. The route setters are creating the play. It's the only sport where we design the field of play for every round and every competition. It's never the same twice. So what they're looking for is to display movement for all of you, and then somewhere in all of that, separate the field through mental mistakes, commitment errors, coordination errors, pure power errors, technique errors, or even just people then hear the fitness error, like running out of fitness.
Yeah.
But ideally, at their core, they want their product to be consumed to its completion. They want at least one or two people to get to the top of the route, because then you get to see what they designed for us.
For sure, yeah. Yeah, they want to see the athletes do well, but they want to challenge them just enough to see what they're really made of, basically.
And some of them are made of really stiff stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, really good fight, really strong stuff. Morgan Schmitter from British Columbia and Dylan Safri, who was in the semi-final on Friday morning on the bouldering side.
Nice.
I saw him having a smile and a laugh with this belayer when he came out, so maybe that's he's in a good headspace.
Yeah.
Some people come out, jacket on, headphones on.
Yeah.
They'd wear sunglasses if they could.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice, especially if you're from the province you're competing in. You kind of know the people. You know, the belayers. You know the judges. Sometimes for some of these athletes, it's their parents that are judging.
Yeah, there's a friendly face out there for you to lock onto.
Yeah.
A little bit of indecision from Morgan here, just deciding how to set up this. Now, Ricci crimpy, Dylan finding just that high right foot is a nice relaxed position for him.
Yeah, he looks really relaxed in this one.
And it's the smooth, even that, the little hand kind of flexes.
Yeah.
That's calm movement. A little more fight from Morgan now.
Oh.
Yeah, Dylan in control.
Nice. This purple hold looked pretty positive, but as I'm seeing people climb, I'm wondering if it's more it's a slippy.
Yeah, I think it is a little bit more slopey than than it is viewable from the ground.
Yeah.
That's a good clipping position.
Yeah, he's looking really good right now.
You can see him standing on the seam of this left foothold instead of on the face.
Yeah, there's one thing we didn't mention. That's I don't know how much of the hold they can see from where they are at that point. So we saw Dylan looking over, trying to see where exactly the hold is. You don't want to jump and then have your hand completely on the wrong side of the hold.
And you're also not 100% sure how devious the route setters have decided to be. So they will often, we saw it a lot in the bouldering round, and there's on the women's, there's a one blocked crimp where they'll take a hold that you think you recognize, but they'll change it by adding a jib to it or blocking the depth of it with something behind it or putting something on the wall so that the accuracy is affected. You remember if you watch the bouldering final, the men's slab had an accurate undercling grab that if you fumbled it at all, because it had a crimp sort of stacked right beside it. So you don't know.
Yep.
From the ground, you have no idea because the hold is facing almost completely up. And then from the hold before it, you're like, I mean, I know that it's got to be good enough for me to jump to it, but I don't know what the route setters have in store for me. So you can't go like caution to the wind. And maybe he was just too careful. He made the reach very easily, but then maybe was too relaxed for the swing. It's really hard to know. I mean, it's evident that he outswung his contact strength, but
it seems harder to hold with one hand, but more committing to jump with two hands. So I think if you land with one hand, you kind of want your elbow to be bent at least a little bit.
Yeah, that's a really good point you make, because then you're not at extension. You're not swinging out with no ability to recoil.
Yeah, exactly.
Hugo Fortier from Quebec and Riley Doherty from Ontario. It's about 9 kilometers to go now. So we're well into the top half of the field. And we are going from 26 down to 8. So there's room here for lots of progression, and there are some really good climbers coming up very shortly.
Yeah, and Hugo here is very used to canyon. This is where he trains, so he'll know the angles, he'll know the holds as well.
And Oscar, who's the head setter, is the setter here.
Exactly.
So he might even recognize some of Oscar's style coming out. You're like, oh, that's something Oscar would do.
For sure, yeah.
So there is definitely a little home field advantage at play.
Yeah.
Good, nice, strong cross through from Riley.
Nice.
The exit from that move has been very telling.
Yeah. I gotta be honest, I find it hard not to cheer like really loudly.
It's difficult, right?
Yeah. I want to scream, but I can't.
At your core, you're still a fan.
Exactly. Come on. Oh no.
Shorted. It didn't really jump at all.
Yeah.
Which maybe he'll question. Look how smooth that pull through is. Riley with smooth, powerful reaches instead of static, sort of staccato dead points.
Yeah. You can see by the way she clips as well that she has some energy left. So
very smoothly into only one person has been anywhere near here. That hold is good, but not great.
Ooh, that's a good beta. Oh, nice. Having a first view of this really high up camera.
Yeah. Just a bit, I mean, we're dealing with Wi-Fi resolution, but I do like the top down. We'll go back and forth with it. She is really really showing herself to be in the class of the field to this point.
Yeah.
Big slopey holds.
That was good. Oh, she nodded her head. She knows she did really well here.
From the last triangle in the steep section, the crowd, every hold she touched got a little bit louder.
Yeah.
Riley Doherty, far and away the best performance of the round to this point.
Yeah, she climbed really efficiently. Seems like she never really second-guessed any of her moves, which I think is usually the key in lead climbing.
Yeah, I agree completely. She just, set her feet down and made decisions.
Yep.
And then, sometimes you just deal. The consequences are not as bad as you maybe were trying to predict your way out of.
Yeah.
So you put your foot down, you make the decision. Yeah, that's fine. I'll recover from this. Doesn't have to be perfect. And there's a little buzz that happens as we kind of get the next climbers out and the crowd gets a minute. So every sort of, you can see them, right? They're nudging each other, people like pointing and stuff.
Yeah.
Some nervous parents.
Now we want to see the top part.
Yeah, now the crowd is like, all right, so it goes.
Yeah, exactly.
It obviously goes.
Yeah, at some point I think maybe even the setters will start to feel a little nervous if everyone is falling kind of the same place. They obviously don't want that, so.
Yeah, you will get sort of sectional bottlenecks. So the bottom third of the field will fall in about the same place, and then the middle third of the field will get a little bit further, but kind of hit that next maybe cruxy section. And then it'll start to open up a little bit. And the trends that are happening is that the lead climbing has become more stacking boulder problems together with less rest, where instead of like really long draining sequences with rests as recovery, we've swapped it to risk. Low percentage risk moves instead of just grind until you run out.
Yeah, a little bit more power endurance as well than just straight endurance.
Cedar Henry taking off like a shot from the start of this route. Again, I love a double clip, moving confidently.
Yeah.
And Nathaniel Smith just carefully navigating the no texture on top of the start.
Yeah, you want to be confident, but also a little careful. It's a really hard balance to find, I think. Cedar does seem to have a little bit of tape on her knee, so maybe a little injury or tweak from bouldering.
Giving it a little support.
Yeah.
But
she seems to be feeling good. So.
That you can see the difference in the last couple of women coming through here that are just comfortably locked on that pocket.
Yeah.
And can do whatever they want on exit.
Yeah. Cedar is definitely one of those climbers that has a lot of grit. She'll fight and she'll scream her way through.
And she's moving very quickly through here. So similar to Riley, where she's not second guessing anything. She's just executing the plan.
Yes.
Nathan looks a little bit bunched coming out of the underclings.
Cedar's starting to move fast.
Yep.
I wonder if she's either tired. Oh no, yeah. Maybe
yes, yeah. Just Nathan is hanging on, and I mean you can see why you would want to go in control.
Yeah.
But then as soon as it happens, you see why the right thing to do is to jump.
Yeah, for sure you need to have a little experience to know that the setters will never put a move that's just really, really reachy.
Yep.
So for sure, you'll learn that when you start to compete that, okay, this is obviously a jump. The hold is pretty positive. It's really far away. And then once you know it's a jump, you just really need to jump.
Yeah. And I mean, you knew that when you previewed the route. Right? And then you thought, maybe when I get there, I'll lean out and take a little look. But then you have to default back to the thing that you knew and you told yourself after the preview. You've been sitting in isolation for an hour and 20 minutes thinking about the jump, maybe. Did you find when you compete in lead that you get fixated on a move that you're scared about, or you're worried about, or like something you think is going to be out of your style, or do you try and just like think about the route in its entirety all the time that you're back in isolation?
Well, I haven't competed a lot in lead, and I stopped. So I don't think I had the best mindset. I was definitely nervous at the beginning. I was like really trying not to fall at the first like maybe 3 draws. But I think you need to just go one move at a time, not focus too much on one thing.
And sort of take it out to bouldering where you think, oh, is there that one move on that one boulder after the preview when you're in a final, you're like, oh my God, I'm not looking forward to that thing.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. And bouldering, I definitely have that.
Wait, I'll get it out of you.
Yeah, definitely the little press start on that first boulder in the finals. I was like,
like, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Chloe Earl from BC and Jamie Ruzicka from Alberta.
Yeah, Chloe has been, I feel like, a little in and out of comps. Haven't seen her as much as I used to, I think. And I feel like she's a little bit more of a lead climber.
Yeah, and I think as you come out of the youth system and you're dealing with university, or maybe you're working, it can be hard to get the balance right and then come back to competing.
Yeah.
Even Lucas Uchida, who had been out of competing for a couple of seasons and ended up on the podium on Friday, I asked him, I'm like, what brought you back? And he said, I missed the fire. I missed the drive that came from competing, and thought I'd give it a try. You're like, like, well, he still remembers how to do it.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny because he probably had that little like bit more of the hunger and then less pressure, and he just did so well. Like in qualifiers, flashed everything. Yeah, I think. So yeah, sometimes a little time off is actually good.
It's good. It's good for your mind. It's good for your, it's good for the different pressures that plastic climbing puts on instead of rock climbing.
Yeah.
Chloe, one of the taller women, and electing to come all the way back across instead of keeping that left foot out.
She did do really well at the Lead World Cup that she did a couple seasons ago, I think.
Jamie also seeming to be in pretty good control to this point. I think that is the harder way to do this set of underclings, and then it puts you farther away. So it is designed as a cross, but he's tall. Sometimes people just decide to be tall.
Ooh, nice.
Chloe reaching strong. And getting that same foot position where you were wondering if that was going to be a good clipping stance.
Yeah.
I love it when they climb to the same pace, and we can leave it on the one view. Oh, just shorted it.
Yeah, he was definitely trying to reach it, and I think once you try to reach it, you'll fall off while you're trying, so you can't really test it out.
Oh my goodness. That was odd.
Yeah, she did seem pumped, but I guess maybe she was.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably right, but that position, the way that the angle of that hold versus, it starts to, the wall kicks back, but because of the angle in the crimp, you're kind of pulling straight down for once, is one of the more comfortable holds to grab through that section. And you sort of, you stick that, you get to relax, but she just sort of slid right on. She's looking at her fingers, so that's either, that's usually a why.
Yeah. Why did you betray me?
Why did you betray me? Exactly. What did I ever do to you other than make you bleed and hurt for the last 20 years of your life? Yeah.
Well, sometimes we push our bodies so much when we're training. Definitely sometimes I think, why won't you just do what I tell you to do? And just do it without hurting, without being tired. But yeah, you're human, so. Yeah.
And your brain and your body are like, look, sometimes I'm in charge. Sometimes I make the decisions.
Yeah.
And today you're going to sit down.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes it'll make the decision for you.
Yeah. And our Nationals comes at an interesting time in the season in which the last World Cup is in September.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of our national team climbers are in Santiago, Chile for the Pan Ams. So a few of the key players are missing because Pan Am's is lead in boulder and speed. And then some of them are just coming into so they've already earned their spot on the national team for next year. So they're in their sort of recovery and just starting to train again because the Boulder World Cup season and the Lead World Cup season starts in March, April.
Yeah.
So like Madison Richardson, for example, was she was like, I'm not in shape. Like I'm only just coming off of 6 to 7 weeks of rest.
Yeah.
And I'm not ready to compete.
Yeah.
And that's sort of the national team has a bit of a divergent path from the national championships. So we draw climbers from here into the high performance program, and then we choose our national team. But you can earn your way onto the national team from your results in the season previous, which is why, you know, for years you didn't see Sean or Alana because they're just perennial. I mean, you're winning World Cups, you're back on the national team.
Yeah. Yeah, and this year was an interesting situation where you kind of could choose between nationals or Pan Ams for the national team. And you could sometimes think, oh, well, I could maybe win nationals, or do I want to go to Pan Ams and maybe not win, but get more points? I don't know, it's a hard decision to make, also more expensive to go.
Oh yeah, much more.
For sure.
And if we're going to see progress suddenly, it's going to be here. Indiana Chapman, who's coming off a year of recovery from ACL replacement surgery, and Kinder McNamee, who has always been a strong lead climber as boulderer and just won the boulder title on Friday. So he's fired up and in a discipline that agrees with him. Indiana is excited to be in her first comp since the surgery. Not bouldering, of course, yet because that's all landing on the mat.
Yeah.
But she is cleared to lead climb. So excited to see. I think for her this will be a test. How's my recovery training? I mean, from almost day 2, I saw her on Instagram doing pull-ups. But it's different, right? You maintain a certain degree of power and strength, but it's not the same as rock climbing.
Yeah, for sure. It's hard physically, but also mentally to come back from an injury.
Yeah, and even here you see she's not going to get into a deep drop knee.
Yeah.
So that's going to be harder. Yeah, I feel like that's almost my fault. She might have felt that little, like, oh, I can't drop my knee there. And the right decision is to be smart. For your continued competition career,
for sure,
and not do something risky. You can re-strain an ACL from that torque position.
Yeah.
I've replaced both of mine, so I do know what it's like to come back from that. And it's hard to trust that you can weight something in an awkward position. And I found it quite difficult to come back. I was skiing before I was climbing.
Oh, okay.
After my ACL replacements, which is that's sort of a weird thing to consider.
Yeah.
Kinder McNamee now getting in here and pretty casually making the hand swap and the clip.
Just
going to chalk up a little bit. Yeah, I do. Me too. You see that? Look at that clever little toe hook on the right side, just to maintain tension without having to squeeze the core.
Oh no! Yeah, he had one hand like halfway in the hold, and then the right hand matched, but on the no texture.
Yeah.
So that wasn't enough for him to be able to hold on.
Okay. So they don't qualify for finals simply in the order they come out in semifinals. That's why we play the game, because every route is going to highlight different styles and different things. So we're allowed to be surprised.
Yeah.
I think that Kinder will be disappointed. This is a route that I think he thinks he can top.
Yeah.
And that spot right now, he's fine. But there are a lot of people who are fine. If we tie, we do count back.
Oh yeah.
So his position to come in 6th place is nice.
Yeah.
For sure. But he'll be nervously refreshing his phone on the live score to see where he sits.
And he's probably also just like shocked that he fell at that point. I think he probably expected himself to go further.
And it is worth pointing out that Matthew Rodriguez, who is a Canadian, won bouldering at Pan Am's this afternoon.
Looked like a brutal round.
A brutal round. So when people were talking about whether the boulders are too easy, too hard, in our national championships, and this didn't get done and that didn't get done. So Matt Rodriguez won the Pan Ams with 1 top and 4 zones. And 2nd place was 1 top and 2 zones. 3rd place, no tops. So That's a bloodbath.
Yeah.
Oscar Baudron also, full points for just getting into the final. So a really good round.
Yeah, and then Zach Richardson was also there. He unfortunately didn't make finals.
Didn't make the final.
Yeah. Nice Molly Dreher on the left and Samuel Tikuvara. Both were there for bouldering as well. I'm going to stop saying that because I think they all were
I think from this point forward, everybody except... Yeah, we'll get there. Almost everybody now.
That only do lead, but they're pretty rare. So I know Sam was a bit disappointed, I think, with his bouldering result. So I think he'll maybe come in really hungry for a good performance.
Yes, I would agree. And Molly Dreher just always climbs hard and way outside of her maturity level as a, she's 16 going on 17 and just getting that two-finger pocket. My goodness. So that's grit.
Yeah, Molly's definitely a fighter. And she's fighting that really smart knee bar.
Yeah, just enough. Getting that clip cleanly. Sam.
She looks like she's recovering still. That little position.
Little half shakes. Sam is.
Oh my God.
Kind of did it like a pat almost. Came through and pulled.
Yeah, I think he was so pumped that he just might as well just go for it and then surprise himself.
Yeah, it surprises himself to get one hand on it, but couldn't quite get through.
There.
Yeah, I am here. Molly, who I thought was maybe going to come off on the pocket, manages to get 5 moves further. So that'll do her well. Maybe
Seems
not
like
as well as
she's
she
looking
thinks.
over to see, is that enough?
Yeah.
Please, someone tell me.
Yeah, you want a nod from the coach,
from
someone to give you the it's okay. I mean, and the perfect example there is Lucas in the semifinal.
Yes.
Came in as a top qualifier, flashed all his qualifying boulders, kind of got thumped in the semifinal, got one top, and came off the last boulder like looking dejected. I remember saying on the stream to Hayden, I was like, someone needs to tell him right away that he's in finals, or he's going to mope around until he bumps into someone who's like, hey, do you know yet? Yeah. So you really, you have an idea, like you were saying, you have an idea with sort of how hard the route is, how hard you can climb versus your competitors, what the crowd's been doing. But those are just indicators.
Yeah.
And you really don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, same thing happened with me in bouldering. After my final boulder, I was with someone, a guy I was also climbing. We were both disappointed. And then we both came out and got told we were for sure making finals. He was like, oh, that's great then.
Oh, look at me. Look at me being good at rock climbing. Yeah, your mood it's a weird swap, isn't it? Yeah.
But sometimes you're like a little disappointed in your climbing, even if the result is good. You're like, I could have done that boulder.
Babette is classic for that.
Yes.
Where she will win a comp. And her first reaction is like, but I know that I could have done this boulder. I know I could have done that boulder. She looks to her performance before the result, which is, it sounds maybe odd to people that don't have a lot of competition experience, but that's the competition edge. Is it's never quite good enough. And that's how you get better.
Yeah, because these mistakes will matter at other time, perhaps. So it's important to still watch for them and correct them.
Kaya Taylor-Ainsley on the women's route, and Evan Lau. Right now, Riley Doherty sitting at the top of the pile. And getting down to... So Molly currently, after that performance, just enough to get in that 20-plus area, the 20th hold. And on the men's side, we'll just give you, just a little update. So Joshua from way earlier in the round, and Luca Boivin getting past the dyno, and then a bunch of people stuck. Nathan, Hugo, Dylan, Matthew. And at this point, even Kinder, that's not enough.
Oh no. Yeah, some of the guys might really miss out by not having the plus from going to the yellow hole.
Yes.
If they slip right before.
Evan fighting.
Yes.
Gets the wrap. The secret is the top of that hold for the right hand. Boom.
Yeah, you want to see the little pinch action.
Yeah, me
afterwards.
too. Definitely. Kaya second guessing this reach, and she is one of the taller climbers in finals, but recovering very cleanly. Don't miss any quick draws. It feels like you don't need to clip the one over to the left, but you absolutely do.
Yeah.
So she's got to back up. Meanwhile, Evan is finding that little rest. Is that a smile?
Yeah, he did a little thumbs up.
Yeah.
Like, hey.
Someone yelled at him, like, here I am. And he's. Sometimes they lean over and watch the other climbers. You get it. It's a pretty good view of the women's route from the men's route. And Kaya, after me being a little unsure, is going to find a tiny little knee scum.
Yeah,
and
she's 3 fingers on that crimp.
Getting a little shake.
It's a good technique it's different strength from 3 fingers to a full crimp.
Yeah. Oh, she gets onto the sloper but can't hold it. That'll punch her ticket. Evan getting wide on the pinches.
Oh my God.
Evan Lau.
He's fighting for his right.
When he didn't clip that draw, you knew he was just going to push.
Yeah.
Oh, that is really good stuff. The wide compression move.
Yeah.
Probably would have done him in.
The setters were talking about this section here. It's all about the fight. After this dyno, you just have to really bite the bullet and really fight on those pinches.
Yeah, and just choose to not let go.
Exactly.
Like, I don't feel good, but I'm not off yet.
Yeah. Yeah. It was exciting climbing.
Yeah, it's nice when the both climbers get to play off the crowd, cheering for someone else, but also it just starts to get loud in the room. And the climbing crowds are interesting because they can, especially in a lead round, they're like, I've seen this already. So the whole first, more than half the route, they're like, yeah, that's fine, I've seen this. Yeah, so good. Well, look at you doing what everyone else has done. Not impressed yet. And you're like, wow, it's like a church in here.
Yeah.
And then they start to warm, but you got to get to the place where you get to wake them back up again. So it's cool if someone's ahead of you and doing something exciting and you're like, oh, there's some energy in the room at least.
Yeah, for sure. You can also hear it when you're in ISO. If there's not a lot of cheering, it's kind of like, oh, it's like not as fun.
Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah.
Because ISO, there is no ifs, ands, or buts. It sucks.
Yeah.
Like, they've been in there since 5:30. It's 8:30.
Yeah. Yeah, it's for sure long days, long weekend. And ISO is, but at least I find people are really fun in ISO. You expect people to be really serious,
right?
But they're not. People are joking. They're bringing games. Everyone's talking.
Because you don't have your phone.
You don't have your phone.
It's important to know that you're not allowed to have your phone, so you have to kind of take it back to 1990.
Exactly.
And people, you're right, they bring games and they sit down and play like board games and stuff.
Yeah, the funniest thing, we were in the NACS, and the McNamees brought a little game that you had to say a word really quickly with a category or something. And it was so funny because you could tell that we were all athletes. We were really competitive.
Really competitive on the silliest game.
Exactly.
I love that.
And I was thinking, I don't know if this is good before a comp. I'm getting stressed out because I want to do well at this little game.
That's so good. I have maintained in the past that you could put a camera in ISO and you could film route setters setting and tweaking the finals. And it would tell you so much more about the sport. It's the true behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Brooke White on the left-hand side and TJ Foley, so a couple of Alberta teammates climbing beside each other. That's kind of fun. You were mentioning it's fun to come out to your home crowd. It's fun to come out and be sitting in the chair with someone that you've trained with and that you sort of trust in some way, maybe calms you down and knows the right thing. So some people want someone to give them the, hey, you got this, and some people are like, don't talk to me.
Yeah.
So that when we're talking about the difference between half a move, you never really know where the difference started. And sometimes it starts all the way back in ISO. Sometimes it starts with what you had for breakfast.
For sure, yeah.
So being comfortable is huge.
Yeah, you kind of need to like you were saying about accepting your mood, you kind of also need to accept whatever circumstance you get in a comp. Sometimes you get a little flu before the comp. Sometimes, I don't know, some things happen.
Or you forget something. I mean, there's so much that can go on.
Yeah.
TJ looking pretty calm. Brooke as well, getting all the way around through the two-finger move pretty smoothly. This drop knee we haven't really seen. TJ is tall, so he's taking advantage of holds relatively far behind other semi-finalists.
Yeah, he might.
Brooke, that lat clip was so smooth. Just almost no-looked it. TJ holds it casually with one hand.
Yeah, you can tell his height helped him a little bit there.
All right, we're in the business now. They're side by side. TJ is going to get some recovery, and Brooke is going to keep fighting, but
she's looking
in
really
control.
Relaxed. But she does not
like
have
this little heel hook.
Jug.
No, exactly. But that's the first heel we've seen on the left side.
Yeah.
If she can get out of it, yes, she can.
Climbing very well.
Beat up, almost such a big fall.
Yeah.
Almost held it all the way past the apex. TJ cutting on the compression move.
It's still really good climbing.
Very good climbing from both. Those are both finals tickets right there. And even look at them both looking up.
Yeah.
Because you know they're thinking, if I'd stuck that, I would have stuck the next one. If I stuck the next one, I would have stuck the next one. And that's a top in their mind.
Yeah. I think Brooke maybe gave a little too much energy from that move. It's not like a complete dyno. You kind of want to keep your right hand.
Yeah, and to have had that much gas in the tank to overdrive the dead point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that hold, the way our angle sitting up here on the balcony, you can tell, like it's in a steep part of the wall and leans away.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell on the camera that it doesn't save you the way you want it to.
Yeah.
And if you come too far out, there's nothing to grab.
Yeah,
so you got to stay under it, but you have to dead point for it. It's a nasty move, but it's a clever piece of climbing because it's as technical as it is powerful.
Yeah, this hold is good, but it's completely underneath the little arch. So if it was on the darker part of the wall, it would be super positive.
Super good, yeah.
But on this part of the wall, not that much.
That's a really devious but really nice piece of root setting.
Yeah, and some of these holds are new as well. Like I think this one is a new hold they ordered for this comp.
Right. So no one's seen it in this gym or in this in this area.
And it's way more textured, so it's probably a little better.
Right.
Than, say, the purple hold for the men that looks really slippery.
It feels like a good time to shout out our root setting crew. So our head setter is Oscar Lanzagorta Sanchez, who's from Canyon. And then Nicolas Vouliamos, also a Quebec setter. And then Jazz Watson and Matt Lucas have come out to lend their knowledge to this side of the equation. It's a grind. Setting boulders is like hard but fun. Setting roots, it's on the lift, it's on the rope, like it's up and down. If you change your mind, it's a lot of work. You're like, maybe I'll just make do with this hold I don't like because I don't want to go all the way down and all the way back up again.
Yeah, and they're a smaller team than the bouldering team. There are only 4 setters, so probably a lot of work.
All right, Sienna Chow and Maxime Terrien.
Yeah, Maxime Terrien is a climber that I find really interesting in his approach. He's like really process-oriented, like fun-oriented, just learning all the time, really positive. So I think it helps him a lot with his mindset.
I like that, yeah.
Maybe more of a technical climber, but I think he seems to like always surprise himself by doing physical stuff.
By doing physical things, and often good technical climbing will put you in a better position to execute physical movement.
Yeah. So
you don't have to be the burliest climber in the room.
Yeah, and sometimes you can put yourself a little bit in a box when you're good at something. You think this is what I'm good at, and I'm bad at this. But it's more nuanced than that, and you also can get better.
Yeah, exactly. It is you're spot on. It's both very nuanced, and sometimes you can improve like month over month even.
Yeah, for sure.
Sienna, is that just a readjustment or a Yeah, maybe that's fine. Sometimes that 2 or 3 times readjustment is a bad sign, but
Yeah.
Sienna Chow is multiple times over youth lead national champion. Oh, he holds it
Yeah.
with a little palm under the volume.
Yeah.
So that contact strength
That's really good.
really good. And swung far enough to kick the wall on the other side.
Yeah, and didn't have the bad reflex to go for the quick draw.
Yes, and is resting without the heel hook, which does put you under the hold more, and is an interesting technical decision. Meanwhile, Sienna Chow just trucking along here. Look at this sort of high inside heel. What is that?
Yeah, she's getting
That's clever.
way
And
more
then another
control.
one.
Ooh,
No,
nice.
beautiful. Max in the pinches, and Sienna, look at this toe hook rest.
Yeah.
Max, I mean, comfortably clipping, but now on the dual text,
He's
holds the compression.
Oh my God, that's good fight.
Sienna is resting in this upside down toe hook. Oh, Max fighting.
That was good.
Really good climbing.
Yeah.
Really good climbing. I wonder if he had just sort of thrown that heel hook out the window and gone for it, if he would have stuck that hold.
Yeah, well,
We will never know. Sienna Chow, one more. Oh, and just, those holds are not friendly at the top of a route.
no, they're not good.
But that is absolutely top shelf rock climbing
Yeah, we
from
did
both
see.
Max and Sienna.
I don't remember who was at that at the top, but she did put a left foot on the red part of the wall, and
Yes.
that seemed to make the handhold a lot better.
Yeah, that
Lots of
was
opposition. And then-
Riley.
Oh, okay.
Riley
yeah.
Doherty kind of
Yeah.
got all the way over basically and turned it into
Yeah.
more of a layback
Exactly.
than a straight pull.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, only 2 left on either side. We're down to the end of the round. Make sure that you come back and join us. Of course, finals is going to be tomorrow, starting at, I'm going to say 12:45 before I pull it up on my phone. But I'm the guy that has to screenshot the event schedule, because as soon as I look away from it, I forget what it is. And I need to be here on time.
Yeah.
So for both me and you, we're going to double check the time. Athlete presentation will be at 1:30 to introduce the athletes, then do the observation, and the finals will start at 2 p.m. Men will be climbing on their own, and then the women's final will go right after. So around 3 o'clock, maybe a shade earlier, but if you tune in at sort of 1:30, you'll get to see the athletes, you get to watch the preview, you get some insights on the broadcast about what maybe you can expect in that final, and then they're gonna go bam, back to back.
It's an interesting schedule. Usually we have qualifiers and then the next day semifinals and finals. At this time is qualifiers and semifinals the same day. And because it's late, I feel like it almost feels like this is the finals.
Yeah, it's late at, you're right, it's late at night.
Yeah.
They climbed this morning.
Yeah, the route is spectacular, so
Yeah.
I kind of feel like it's a good show.
Which could be cool for tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll have another big show.
Babette Roy, who will be a crowd favorite, and Hugo Dorval, who is a crowd favorite. There were people cheering his name.
Yeah, and it's also, I think, fun for them. They're really good friends, and they've been climbing together since they were kids. So it's really nice that they're climbing at the same time. So we were talking about accepting the circumstances. Babette has a little cold, I think, right now. She wasn't really psyched to be sick on comp day, but
she's leaning into it.
Yeah, obviously it doesn't really stop her.
Yeah, I think there's certain types of cold medication you can take that you're allowed under our drug regulations.
Yeah.
Or maybe you just decide to deal with it. But she is as much of a pure competitor as anyone else on the Canadian circuit these days.
Yeah, I think she's gaining some really good momentum right now. She's been doing really well.
Yeah, this whole season, really. Yeah. Pretty smooth here from Hugo.
Yeah, same with Hugo also. He's been doing really well and a little more focused on really training for comps. He's just came back from France for training there. So yeah, he decided to take a couple months and just really focus on training for comps.
You see how close, how the pocket was locked in for Babette there. It was like almost in her shoulder, whereas you saw a lot of the women earlier in the field, they were almost at full extension.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to pull.
Yeah.
And she got into that position with a push, and then you just save that. And when every hold has a tiny timer on it and the whole route has a timer for fitness, every time you can be powerful, it will save you energy.
For sure.
And she is moving very confidently.
Yeah. Little sip from Ugo. Nice.
Little, no problem, no problem.
And now he breathes.
Yeah. C'est la confiance, en tout cas.
Oui, la confiance, c'est ça qu'il faut pour réussir. Et on sait que Babette, elle a beaucoup de confiance. Hugo aussi, je pense.
Ouais. Si.
He's looking up.
Une conversation
Talking.
peut-être? T'es capable?
Yeah, you have to keep the comps fun. Yeah. Sometimes you can get a little too serious about it. You have to remember that you're doing, it's important, but it's also because you love it that you're doing it.
Yeah. So I love that transition to the foot in the swing.
Yes.
It's such a clean transition. The use of momentum almost perfect. You saw her go up and clip and come back down.
Yeah.
So just to get an extra half shake from what she thinks was the best position on the route. And Ugo now.
Yeah, almost feels like they're in a race.
Yeah, he's like, I got to catch up now.
Yeah, who's going to top first?
Into the business. Ooh, just catching that.
Oh, foot slip.
Foot slip. Ugo didn't look pumped to that point yet, but a foot slip will kill you.
Yeah, and this heel looks really tricky. You need to be high up in your arms to be able to do the heel, but being high up in the arms also mean more fatigue and more pinch strength.
Yeah, and I know the resolution isn't great, but I just want to show you that position.
Oh, nice.
Look at this, a little arm wrap.
Yeah, and she'll be able to tell that she's the first one to get there.
I'm a little worried about,
the rope.
I won't say it, it's hard to get out to clip from. She's going to notice that drag, but is getting a little shake here. I don't know how. That press, the forearm press, I guess.
Yeah, she took a little moment to look at her arm. I don't know if she was wondering, like, hi, I'm a little pumped.
She's willing it back out again.
Yeah.
Into this very small, crimpy pockets.
Yeah.
You can see her trying to get everything before she goes to the last few committing moves. Staring at them.
So she probably knows she doesn't need to top this route.
Yeah, but she wants to.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So very, very close.
Yeah.
So very close.
You can see the setters are smiling. Happy.
Almost
She's
got
happy.
it done.
Yeah.
1.5 hands on the last hold, so the women get a dyno at the top.
Yeah.
And no one is going to turn around and say, oh, I wish the route was harder.
No, for sure.
And, I mean, Ugo also didn't need to top the route.
Yeah.
But I bet you that he's back there thinking if that heel hadn't slipped.
Yeah. Yeah, because the next pinch is one of the better ones.
And I think it has a tiny... No, the one before has a jib on it. That one gets a little bit thinner.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit and less flared.
Yeah.
But then it's crimp, crimp, crimp. So
yeah.
There's no real respite at any point in time.
Yeah, another interesting point from the women's route, the two little pockets. Oscar was telling me they both have the kind of the same point. So if you choose to go to the right one first, you'll get 35. And then 36 for the left one. But if you choose to go left first, you'll get 35 for that one, and then 36 for the next one.
So it is a climber's choice, a true climber's choice position.
Exactly. Yeah. So they do that so that they're not tempted to maybe try to bypass something to get more points.
Right. Yeah, worth pointing out for sure. So these are our last two. So our top semi-finalists from the qualifying round this morning. Zoe Yi, who is from the US, she's a US international, and then Guy McNamee. These.
I was wondering, do you know, like, does she have to be Canadian, or can anybody sign up for
I
her?
don't currently. I love that Guy's wearing his yellow pants on the yellow start.
Yeah.
We've gone back and forth on the rule a few times in that we know we have to have the same. We have to have 26 Canadians, which is why we had one extra.
Okay.
So we went through a stage where we didn't want to have 4 nationals. We had 4 nationals win our bouldering nationals like 2 or 3 years in a row. But we also had like 10 finalists because we had 4 or 5 American nationals.
Okay.
So
yeah.
there are cutoffs based on nationality as well as, and because you generally have to qualify in, especially on the youth side. So I think I don't have the perfect detail of the rules, but we do let Americans in.
Okay.
We just have to have the right number of Canadians in the quota as well.
Okay, that makes sense.
And she can win. She'll win the competition, but then second place will be the Canadian national champion.
Yeah.
So we'll figure that all out tomorrow.
Yeah.
So Guy, as he does, looking very calm and smooth up until the first difficult moves on the route.
Moving pretty well, both of them.
Up high in that cross through as well. Clean out, same kind of position as Babette.
Yeah, you can see the hesitations they're dwindling away. There are none for these climbers.
This is not the business part yet.
Yeah,
this
exactly.
is just getting to the business.
Yeah, exactly.
From Guy reaching through here. And I have been loving that there's been 4 or 5 different positions to kind of get set up here for the men. Some going back, some that toe hook. Him and his brother would have talked about that.
Yeah.
But looks just slightly hesitant.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Oh.
There we go.
No hesitation needed.
Yeah.
'Cause
Very
that
smooth
move.
at the end of the day.
Yeah, it was a little stressful because some people fell on that move. So even if he ranked higher, you can see he's breathing.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna say he's looking at it. He might be looking for a clock, but I don't think anyone's gonna time out here.
No.
It's just getting that long, opening the trunk up, really lets you breathe easier. It might be not as obvious as you think, but we'll come back if he leaves this long rest position.
We'll have some good photos. In
Yeah.
that position.
Yeah, he's the only one to have taken that heel hook.
Zoe looks nice and relaxed.
Yeah, this is a wonderful shot here.
Yeah, they have the same resting position.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when you do a heel like that, you take some of the pressure off your arms, so you can really get some energy. Oh, he's hyping up the crowd.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. That heel is really locked in here.
Yeah.
This is the spot to clip from.
Nice.
Zoe just trying to find a clever, swaps it out for bigger but not as positive. She does look fit in this position. So does Guy.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Is
he hunting the heel? He is.
Yeah. Oh, come on.
Oh. He's looking up instead of to clip.
Yeah.
He's going to just come away.
This next move looks crazy.
So burly. That's
Yeah.
great climbing from Guy McNamee. That will put him at the top of the board. And Zoe Yi has found a very similar position to Babette, but at the same time fundamentally different. Where Babette was high and using a bit of a wrap, Zoe really seems to have found a way to weight the heel here.
Yes.
And she's sort of creating a layback. This will probably take quite a bit of core, but you see that left foot, that's not out of load. She's pressing into that volume to stop from unwinding. So this will be taxing, but giving her recovery in the forearms.
Yeah.
Again, you know that she's looking up. She knows this final move is a big one.
Yeah, and we saw Babette on it, and we know how good she is.
Yeah,
at
how
jumping.
powerful she is.
Exactly.
Here we go. Zoe Yi, take us home. Yes, she does it.
Nice.
Look at that. So clean.
Yes.
Zoe Yi, ladies and gentlemen, getting enough rest time
Yep.
to top the semi-final routes. That is what you want. Overall, you want to have that progression lead you to the last climbers doing the most work. Really, really great way to end a semi-final round.
Yeah, that was a pretty perfect round, I would say. The men's route looked really hard, but there was still some progression. Guy is the only one, I think, who got that pinch, the left hand. So
yeah, I agree. So we're gonna we'll pull the results up here. It won't be quite. It takes there's a short delay, but overall a wonderful semifinal round. We got the separation we were looking for. We got some very exciting climbing dialed in over there. How was it for you? Did you enjoy, the second half as much as you enjoyed the first half?
I absolutely did. Yeah, it was really, really fun to watch. The routes looked really nice. I kind of want to climb.
You kind of want to go and climb them now. That's one of the things I often sit back and be like, I'm really glad I'm nowhere near those boulders or that route right now. But I get it. You can kind of have that like, ooh, fun.
They look fun.
Because they did look fun. They tested risk. They tested power. They tested that stamina piece. They tested decision making. So a bit of an all-round battle. And I think all the semifinalists will feel this tomorrow morning. But we're going to bring 8 of them back. So let's pull the results up here, and we'll see if that's been enough time. And we will know simply by looking at who's at the top. So Zoe Yi with the top will be in first place. Babette Dubois will be in second. Riley Doherty in third. Sienna Chow, Brooke White, Kaya Taylor-Ainsley, Cedar Henry, who climbed quite a bit earlier in the round, and Sasha Duchesne in 8th place. Chloe Earl just 2 spots out in 9th, but had an inspired climb.
Yeah, it's always hard when you're right on that place that's just out of finals, and you're kind of proud of your performance, but then it's also like, so close.
Yeah, I mean, I think Seb Lazur said the dreaded 7th place.
Yes.
And he was climbing also inspired. I mean, as one of the veterans,
for sure.
He put on a show for the ages in the semifinal, and I thought he was going to get in.
Yeah, but you have to think there's always someone that's going to be 7th, and there's always someone that's going to be last.
Yes, there's always someone that's going to be last. And last hurts maybe more than 7th.
For sure, yeah.
On the men's side with that, Guy McNamee, so him and Evan did get to the same place. They did get a plus coming out of that high pinch, so they were the same. And on countback, Guy McNamee will be ahead. So Guy, Evan Lau, Hugo Dorval, Max Terrien, TJ Foley in 5th, Joshua Heckrud, who climbed much earlier in the round, puts himself in 6th, Luca Bovin also climbing earlier, and Sam Tukuvara. Unfortunately, that puts Kinder McNamee just out of finals, so we were not going to get a double champion on the men's side. But that's your semifinal. That's how it goes. It feels like it's going to be a long day, and then when you're in the middle of it, it feels like it's going too fast, and you want to see more climbing. And then you were treated at the end to really inspired climbing from the last 3 or 4 climbers on both sides, and we saw some very, very cool movement. Thank you so much for your analytics. Thank you so much for your insight. You understand movement so well, and for bringing it to the people at home. Hope you had a good time watching, and I hope you come back and watch us in the final. Merci beaucoup, Sab. On se voit à bientôt.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Excellent. All right.